All right. All right, folks. Hey, those of you who have tuned in, give me 1 second coming up here. All right. Thank you all for joining us. Again, sorry that we're late. We just had a little technical difficulty getting in here. But now we've got everything all launched, so we're going to jump right into the show. What we need to do is turn that down. And that'll take care of that echo. Sorry about that. All right, I'll tell you what. Let's just go ahead and roll with our opening animation, and we'll just get this show going.
Do you know what the most frightening thing in the world is?
They mostly come at night. Mostly.
I'm afraid! Don't be afraid! No, be afraid. Be very afraid.
It rubs the lotion on its skin or else it gets the hose again.
Now clear your minds. You know what scares you. It has from the very beginning.
You're gonna be just fine. I'm your number one fan.
She just goes a little mad sometimes. We all go a little mad sometimes.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
I am the devil, and I am here to do the devil's work.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
We have such sights to show you.
I see dead people.
It's just occurred to me we really haven't had a completely successful test of this equipment. There's no sense worrying about it now.
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
Hey, folks. All right. Again, I apologize for the technical difficulties that we had getting this going. It is always a matter of the best laid plans of mice and men. I've been putting off this Windows update until last night, and then last night I went ahead and updated it. Then came out this morning, and my computer was a complete mess. Everything was all screwed up. So anyways, so we got this whole thing going. Just start off real quick. I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Ryan Van Osdal. I am a mask maker. I've been doing this for about 7 years, and sitting over here running the computer is Natalie Smith. Natalie, you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi, my name's Natalie, and I'm an artist of many mediums. I'm sure you'll find out more about me later on.
Cool. And then also here in the studio, we also have Tony Garrison, who is our resident paranormal investigator or researcher.
Hi, I'm Tony. I'm just I'm here to help Ryan out with any questions he has about paranormal stuff.
Cool. Well, I appreciate it, Tony.
Yeah,
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
All right. So in this episode, real quick, just to let you know what we got going on. First of all, yes, we are going to be giving away 5 masks. We are a little bit pressed for time. We got a little outline of stuff that we're going to go through here. So we're going to kind of move a little bit fast through some of this stuff. We have a couple of interviews that we're going to share with you, an artist of the week, plus a special guest interview, a little bit of a Halloween industry celebrity. So that'll be coming up on the show. And we've also got a couple of topics that we're going to talk about that we'll even take live callers in so that you viewers out there can be interactive and get involved in the show. One of the things that we're going to talk about is the big thing going around right now. Should Halloween's date be changed or should it not? And then we're also going to talk about real life hauntings. So if anyone out there has any kind of haunt experiences, we're talking real life stuff, not just haunted house, but like literally your house being haunted, be prepared to call in. So another thing real quick, if you are watching this on your phone and you don't have another device, you're not going to be able to call in for the contest and stuff like that. But if you have a second device, you might want to switch over to watching it on that so you keep your phone free. So if you do want to call in and take part, it'll be a little bit easier to do. Let me get started first by kind of telling you what this show is all about. Normally, I'll be working on whatever I'm working on. Today, I'm not working on it because we've got so much other stuff going on, but I just wanted to kind of explain what my goal is. For many years now, I've kind of been wishing that we had that television show Making Monsters with Ed Edmonds back. I don't know how many of you guys watched it, but that's really the show that kind of got me involved in doing this. And when that went away, you know, every now and then we see these people signing these petitions, wishing that there was a TV show that was all about doing that kind of stuff. And I kind of felt the same way. And after a long time of sitting around going, man, I wish this kind of existed, I finally realized, why don't I just make something like that? Of course, I'm not an Ed Edmonds. I'm kind of just a nobody. And so I figured, well, I don't want to make a show that's about me. What if we made it about the whole community? And so I came up with this way of kind of incorporating everyone out there that's in the haunt community, all of the other artists, everyone from the big celebrity names to all the little garage guys, and kind of just make it so that we can all get to know each other a little bit better, see each other's work, share everything, and kind of get to know the people behind these masks. So that's what the aim of the show is, and hopefully give you something fun that you can turn on a playlist, you know, once we got several of these episodes, where you can actually sit down and work on whatever it is that you're working on and have this kind of playing in the background. So that's kind of what the goal of the show is. We'll see how well it goes. If people enjoy it, we'll keep making it. You know, just kind of go from there and stuff. So that being said, in order to draw you all in, of course, I've been promising to do a 5-mask giveaway, and I know that you all are dying to get to that. So let's go ahead and get the very first drawing taken care of. Before we do, I want to explain some rules very clearly. So for the drawing, this is the way it's going to work. We're going to randomly draw names out of a box. If you're the winner, you must reach out to me via Facebook Messenger, not through the Uncle Monsters page, because for some reason that messenger, sometimes it takes a couple of days for me to get replies and stuff like that. It just doesn't show up. But if you go on my personal page, and what you just need to do, if your name comes up, you need to contact me within 24 hours, or technically by 8 p.m. tomorrow night. If you do not contact me before 8 p.m., then you lose. The whole reason for that is because if you're one of the friends or whatnot, you have to watch the show to find out if you win. If you didn't watch the show, you don't deserve the win. So that's kind of the way it works. So if you're not watching this live, you're watching it tomorrow morning, that's fine. But if you do see your name, get on that messenger, send me a message real quick, and just let me know, hey, my name was drawn, I won. So as far as for the phone-in callers, we're going to do a couple of masks by phone-in. We'll get your information. Actually, we'll call you back as soon as we get done doing the broadcast so that we can get your mailing information. As far as shipping is concerned, I am covering the shipping on these two, anywhere within the 48 states, not including international or Alaska and Hawaii. If you live in international, or you are lucky enough to live in Hawaii or doomed enough to live in Alaska, sorry if that insults someone from Alaska, you will be responsible for your own shipping, but that is it. So that pretty much covers it. So what we're going to do is first determine which mask is going to be given away. So I'll tell you what, Tony, we'll have Tony draw from one of these 5 cards. Pick any card, sir. All right. Now, Tony, go ahead and open that up, and let's see what number that is.
All right. Looks like we got a number 4.
Number 4. All right. Let's go ahead and bring number 4 out to the spotlight. And drum roll. This is Worm Food, and I actually titled this guy Mr. McDaniels. I have no idea why. It's just what I decided to name him. This is actually the number 2 casting out of the mold for him, and he's got all of this goo coming out of his eyes and all that kind of fun stuff. So this is Mr. McDaniels, number 2 out of the master mold. We'll set him aside for right now, and Tony, since you drew the card, Natalie, I'm going to hand over the box with the entries. This is the Monster Vision fan club group that's inside here. So, Natalie, if you will take that over there, sure. And Natalie is going to draw a name.
Let's see. This one.
That one. All right. That would be Joshua Bryant. Joshua Bryant. Sir, you contact me before 8 p.m. tomorrow. I will be shipping Mr. McDaniels straight to your house. All right, cool. I'm actually glad that, not glad to see my masks go for free, but I am glad that I'll be freeing up some room in the studio. So, all right. Let's see, where are we? Okay, cool. Now that we've got that first drawing out of the way, we are going to go to our first ever Artist of the Week. I don't want to give anything away. We're just going to kind of roll with this, but this guy and I have been Facebook friends for several years now, and I've admired his work for a long time, so I was really excited to have him on board with that. So, Natalie, if you would go ahead and roll our Artist of the Week. All right, it is time for our Artist of the Week, and this week we have, coming all the way from Wisconsin, we have Mr. Paul Hoepner of Hoepner FX. Paul, welcome to the show. Thank you for being a part of this. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well today. Thank you.
Awesome. I see your work behind you there, and as always, very impressed. I absolutely love that blue demon. Every time I look at it, it has a little bit different of a kind of feel to me. I mentioned when we were messaging before that it kind of looks like a water elemental. Like I can just see it coming out of the water or something and being like, it's just beautiful. So Paul, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm 46. I've been doing special effects makeup and sculpting masks for 30 plus years. Started doing home haunts when I was a kid, teenager, and it just kind of evolved from there.
Cool. Awesome. Now, how did you first get into mask making? What was it that kind of introduced you into that?
When I was a kid, like I said, I did home haunts, so I would buy Halloween masks from department stores, and then through Fangoria magazine, which I was an avid reader of when I was a kid, and I found Distortions, Ed Edmonds' shop, Deaf Studios. Those were like the two main that I would buy masks from, and I would incorporate those into my scenery in that. But then I learned the process of how to make my own masks. So at a very young age, I started teaching myself how to sculpt, paint, mold, cast, every aspect there is to mask making.
Now, are you completely self-taught, or did you take classes or anything like that?
I was pretty much self-taught. They really didn't teach anything like this in the public schools that I went to. I mean, I was avid in the art departments. There were times where I'd bring in my little makeup case when I was in middle school and high school and that into the art classes, just so I could practice doing makeup and effects type things. But as far as the sculpting goes and the mask making, I pretty much taught myself.
Very cool. Well, it's very obvious that you have a natural talent for doing it. So now, one thing that I noticed that's kind of unique among mask makers, including yourself, is when I look at other people's work, and I can't quite put my finger on exactly what it is, but everyone, for the most part, seems to have a certain look or a certain style that somehow gets incorporated in all theirs. And you're definitely like that. Your masks are very varied, but there's something about your touch that I see in the mask that if you were to just show me a picture of a mask and it was one that you did, I would probably be able to say, that looks like something that Paul would have done. Where do you find you draw your inspiration from?
The funny thing is I don't watch a lot of horror films. I'm more into character-based type creatures. Growing up in the 80s, I was subjected to Dark Crystal, Legend, Labyrinth, Star Wars, all your slasher films, Hellraiser, Friday the 13th, American Werewolf in London. I'm a huge Rick Baker fan.
Yeah.
Movies that had a lot of interesting characters and stuff. That's where I kind of draw my inspiration from. I don't like to copy what another artist has created. I try to incorporate those ideas into my designs, but I like to come up with original characters.
Cool. Now, I follow. We've been friends on Facebook for a long time, and I followed you, your mask making, and also your personal life. And you are really devoted to doing a lot of stuff with your son. I have seen some amazing your Back to the Future costumes and all the Millennium Falcon. You've done a whole bunch of stuff. So you're not just a mask maker, but I mean, you do a lot of different art stuff. What are some of your other hobbies?
I like to build costumes. My son is a big inspiration. He's going to be 13 next month. He has autism, and he comes up with a lot of creative ideas. This year he wants to be Iron Man.
Oh, wow.
So I'm actually building him an Iron Man suit out of cardboard boxes and whatever else I can find. So.
Yep. I think I've seen some pictures of your work so far, and as always, it's pretty cool. So now, where would you like to see yourself, say, 5 years from right now?
5 years from now, I'm hoping I'm still making masks, creating creatures and monsters. I'm actually interested in possibly starting workshops in this area, teaching other people how to make masks. I am getting up there. I mean, I'm not old, but I'm getting up there to the point where eventually I'm going to have to retire. But I'd like to see the next this craft move on with the next generation.
Oh. So now, give us a little glimpse into like your personal life. Is this what you do as a sole source of income, or do you have another day job or something else that you do also on the side?
I have a full-time day job. I work for a packaging company for Harley Davidson, so I work with bike parts and stuff like that. Okay. And then the mask making, it's kind of a hobby / side income for me. Plus, I also am a special effects artist for Abandoned Haunted House Complex here in Pleasant, Wisconsin. And I've been with them for 8 seasons now.
Oh, very cool. All right, we're going to show a quick montage, some of Paul's work. Everyone, check out this stuff. This is some really great stuff. So let's go ahead and roll that montage. All right, so that was Paul Hoepner. I was so honored to actually have him on because when I first got into doing this, he was one of the first guys that I kind of met on Facebook and started seeing his stuff and everything. And I've always been impressed with his work. And I said it in the interview, and I haven't quite been able to put my foot on or put my finger on exactly what it is. But I'm starting to discover there is certain things about different artists that once you see their work and stuff, you can really start to, you can almost like just look at someone's sculpt and be like, oh, that looks like so-and-so's work. And, I don't know if it's their touch or what it is, but I'm really glad that Paul was able to do this. And I'm glad to have him as our first artist of the week. So, yeah, very, very cool. So, all right, let's go ahead and open up our first topic that we're going to discuss, because I think this is going to be kind of a hot one, because I've been seeing this all over social media, especially on Facebook, and people really, really hate it, or they love the idea, changing Halloween to the last Saturday in October. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Tony, let's start with you. What do you think of doing that?
So I guess I'm more of a traditionalist. I say we keep it the way it is. Then, I don't necessarily think it needs to be changed.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have a reason for that. I don't know.
Now, you're not a Halloween artist or not, or whatnot. Would you consider yourself to be a Halloween fanatic? I mean,
no, not at all. Last time I think I was engaged in anything Halloween would have been when I was a kid. So we're talking 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to haunted houses this year with us, so
yeah. I think it'll be the first time I've been to a haunted house is with you guys. Okay. So I don't watch scary movies. I don't do a whole lot of that stuff. So.
Gotcha. So your attitude is more leave it on the 31st, but not because you're a pagan and you follow those holidays or nothing like that. Just because.
Yeah. Just why change it? It's been working so far.
Cool. What's your thoughts, Natalie?
It's kind of hard to say. As a mom, I think it kind of...
Oh, you know what? We should bring the phone number up.
Oh, okay. So we can ask.
Yeah. Bring up on your screen so you can tell your side, and callers, there's the phone number. If you want to take part in the discussion, give us a call. We'll bring you on live. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. As a mom, I mean, it sucks to take your kid out on a weekday when they've got school the next day. If anything, I think the schools should give them the next day off. That to me would make more sense, and then leave Halloween the day it is. So, I like that it's on the 31st. I don't know. Just, it's a tradition, and it should always be that way. So,
okay.
I've always wanted the kids to have the next day off, though, so they could enjoy the holiday.
Now, I can say that we used to do a backyard haunt, and when we did the backyard haunt, we always look forward to when, Halloween fell on a Friday or a Saturday, because you could stay up later, you could do more stuff. It was always a lot more fun. I personally love the idea of Halloween being on a Saturday, only because I want to be able to go out there.
We have a phone call. Sorry to interrupt you.
I want to be able to go out late and have a good time and all that kind of stuff. So, hey, caller, what's your name? Where you're calling from?
My name is Robert Nass. I'm calling from Knoxville, Tennessee.
Robert. All right. Robert and I have been Facebook friends for many, many years. And I actually hooked up with him because I bought a hearse.
Awesome.
And Robert is a hearse aficionado, as well as extremely knowledgeable in all things that are crazy and just, man, Robert, you're a character unto yourself. Go ahead, man.
As far as changing Halloween, it's just like, I mean, I do understand where like the parents are coming from with the whole Saturday thing, but it's just Halloween. I mean, I don't think a lot of Americans understand, but Halloween originated as on the Irish calendar. It's the last day of the calendar year, November 1st.
Oh, wow.
November, the Irish word for November is Samhain, but Americans call that Samhain, but that's a different story.
Oh.
But it's just like I don't think you can just change an entire calendar, So it's like you can have a community get together and do all of their Halloween stuff and all of their trick or treating on the last Saturday. But it just seems odd to me to like try to change the day itself. It's like changing, New Year's or the 4th of July or holidays that have a specific date for a specific reason.
Okay. Makes sense. And I know I've been seeing a lot of posts of people that, Wiccans and various other, I guess we'll call them alternative religions.
New Age pagan?
Yeah, New Age pagans, there you go, that really want to keep that because, under what they believe and stuff, that's an important thing. I was actually talking with my wife about this, and I came up with the ultimate solution to the whole thing. So I'm just going to go ahead and say what mine is. Now, we all know that Halloween is, without a doubt, the most important holiday of the entire year. So my thoughts are what we ought to just do is we ought to look at the lunar cycle, and we ought to figure out towards the end of October-ish when the full moon is, turn that day into October 31st and Saturday, and adjust the rest of the calendar to fit around that. I mean, I look at it as we got February, and, every fourth year you add an extra day to February. What's it matter if we add or take away from a couple of the, month or so here, I'm all for that. Let's just make the whole calendar revolve around it. And that way, October 31st can always be Halloween. It can always be on a full moon, and it can always be on a Saturday. Yeah?
It's actually funny because your solution that you just described was the sole reason why Stonehenge was built.
Yeah?
Yeah, for that exact purpose.
Huh. No kidding.
Because it's all a mathematical calendar.
Uh-huh.
But the reason, the extra day thing is because modern hours are different than primitive hours.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm a purist then. I want to go back to doing Halloween the way it was originally done then. Cool.
Exactly.
All right. Well, hey, Robert, thank you very much for calling in. We're going to go ahead and let you go now. But thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in. And it's awesome to talk to you.
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it.
Absolutely. Hey, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm. Bye.
All right, man. Him and I go way back. He actually helped me to identify a lot of the things about my hearse when I first got it. So that was kind of funny to hear from him. So very cool. All right, I guess it is about time. Let's go ahead and move forward with our second mask drawing. Let's see. This time, Natalie, would you go ahead and pick the card for our second drawing? And open that up, and let's see what number it's going to be.
Number 1.
Number 1.
Number 1.
All right. Number 1 is a mask that I completed. Let's see. I think we're fighting over the mouse.
Yes.
Number 1, I literally just finished painting this last night. I was up until 1 o'clock in the morning, and a lot of people have been waiting to see this. If you're part of the Monster Vision fan club, you've already seen sneak previews of it, but this will be the first time it is officially unveiled. This is Wasteland 2072, and this is actually titled Surplus, and it is number 1 out of the master mold. So bring it up here so you can see it a little bit. Actually, you know what? Let me get some lights on here so we can see it a little bit better. All right. You can see he's got all kinds of cool stuff going on. Straps for his goggles. I got the metal brackets on his headphones. It's got a HUD, a heads-up display here in front of the eye. So this is actually one of my favorite sculpts that I've done. I am really loving this one. The way we're going to do this is going to be a live caller. So anybody watching the show right now, you have the ability to win this mask right now if you answer this trivia question correctly. And just to prevent you guys from dialing the number right now, don't start calling yet. We're going to wait until I answer the question. Natalie is going to decline the first 5 times that it rings. Then we will take the next caller. So I gave clues away. So you guys should have done the research and figured all this kind of thing out. There's a lot of mottos that I kind of believe in and go by. And in a picture that was posted, there was a Latin motto that was put up. The first person who calls with the correct English translation to that motto, I'll be shipping this mask to your house next week. So go ahead and start calling in, and we'll see who's got the English translation to one of my favorite mottos. You know, I really would not be against totally realigning our calendar just so Halloween could happen on a full moon on the 31st. I don't care if it turns out that February's only got 14 days, you know. Actually, you know what? If we're going to do that, isn't February 14th, isn't that Valentine's Day?
Yeah, you can take those out.
Yeah, we can take that. We can go all the way down to 13 days. So, all right. Man, the delay on this is about a 1 minute delay. Okay. So it's gonna take a bit for people, but I guarantee you that there's gonna be people who are like, oh, go to the Uncle Monster page, start going through the pictures and stuff. I actually posted it a couple of weeks ago, and I in the post I think I just said like shh or whatever, and someone commented with the English translation. I was like, there you go. Okay, there is caller number 1. We're gonna decline that one. So even if you're calling again, if it declines and goes to voicemail, just dial again because that counts as 1. So yeah, Robert Nasta that had called. I was saying that he had a hearse. That's caller number 2. And he helped me identify mine. I have a 69 Cadillac S&S, and there's number 3. It's actually a very rare one. He helped me identify the fact that number 1, the rear door is backwards compared to most hearses, and also that mine, that's number 4, also that mine has factory suicide back doors for being a side loader. So really, really rare.
So I know I looked in buying a hearse one other time.
Oh, there's our number 5.
And then I know it's important to have the book with it, the folks that wrote in it. At least that was my understanding.
Oh, really?
Does that?
No. Oh, okay. Go ahead and answer. All right, caller, are you there?
I'm here.
Hey, what's your name and where are you calling from?
Doreen McCullough from Renton, Washington.
Well, hello, Doreen. How are you doing this evening?
How are you?
I am doing fantastic. I'd be doing a lot better if my computer hadn't gotten totally jacked with this latest update, but I think we're getting by. So, do you have the answer?
Nothing comes out of nothing.
You are absolutely correct. Nothing comes from nothing. Congratulations. Natalie is going to write down your number on the call, from the caller ID. And what we're going to do is we're going to call you back after the show. You say you're calling from where in Washington?
Renton. I believe she said Renton.
Uh-huh. Doreen, are you still there?
I think we lost her.
Oh.
I tried to. Somebody else was calling, so I got the area code. I know which one it is.
Okay, Doreen, I'm sorry about that. There was another technical glitch, but we got your area code, all that kind of stuff.
I know which number
we know who you are. I've seen you on my thing. Congratulations. Wasteland 2072 #1 will be going to you next week. So, all right. Yes, nothing comes from nothing. So I'm just going to take a quick moment to kind of talk about this. I started making masks about 7 years ago, and right about the same time that I started doing this, I blew my back out, herniated a disc at work, ended up having to have back surgery, and there was a real possibility that I was going to be in a wheelchair the rest of my life, if not at least highly disabled, which sort of I am. I'm very limited as to how far I can walk and what I can, pick up and lift and all that kind of stuff. But I really loved mask making, and I knew that I wanted to continue doing that. And there's a lot of things like lifting heavy molds and all that kind of stuff. And the nothing comes from nothing means you can want to do something, but if you don't do anything, nothing's going to come from that. So when I read that and I started thinking about it, the nothing comes from nothing started to kind of mean something to me, because something comes from something. It's just kind of the opposite. So if you're a kind of person who wishes you could do something, wants to do something, I mean, take a look at this. I built this shed and put this whole thing together over the last couple of years to make a TV show, because I wished that there was a TV show for us Halloween artists. And instead of just wishing for it to happen, I put a plan in effect and actually started doing the whole thing. So nothing comes from nothing. Get out there and do something, so something comes from it. So that being said, it is time for us to go to Tony, who is going to do our, we got a little segment here for weird news from around the world. Tony, what do you got for us?
Well, thank you, Ryan. So the first thing, and this actually falls into your wheelhouse, that I saw pop up last week, and some of your fans here may have seen it. We have a Brazilian inmate who was busted trying to break out of prison wearing a mask, a latex mask that his daughter snuck in for him. So,
wait, it was a silicone mask, wasn't it?
It was no, it was latex mask.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Latex
wow.
mask.
Okay.
So in Rio de Janeiro, 43-year-old, they described him as a drug dealer. His name was Clavino da Silva. Was serving a 73-year sentence in prison for drug dealing.
Uh-huh.
And I guess his daughter came in. She was 19 years old. Snuck in a mask for him. He changed the mask, when they were together, he took her clothes, put the mask on, and tried to exit the prison with several other women that were also brought in there. So they caught him as he was leaving, because he didn't seem to move quite like a 19-year-old woman might. So they caught him, and there's a link here. Well, I'll give it to you, so that if you go watch the video, you can see they made him take off the mask and all of the clothes that he was wearing that he was trying to sneak out in. But I mean, as a mask maker, what do you think would have had to go into preparing for something like this? Because that is, I've watched what you do here, and it's no easy task to mold something like that.
I would, first of all, if it was latex, I'd be really surprised, because trying to get the realistic look from latex is really difficult. That's why so many people are now going to silicone masks, because they fit right to you. There's a certain translucency that you can replicate in the skin that gives it that really very, very realistic kind of look and sheen to it and stuff. That would not be easy to do at all. I remember hearing a couple of years back about a guy who went in and was wearing a silicone mask that was made to look like a black guy, and went in and robbed a bank. And everyone that was in the bank witnessed it, all that kind of stuff. They all gave the description that it was a black male. And within a couple of days, they caught the guy. And I don't know the whole story about how they caught him, but it turns out it was actually a white guy. And it's like nobody even suspected. I don't know what it was that left it behind. The fact that somehow they were able to put 2 and 2 together and figure out that he did it. When they arrested him, they actually recovered the mask too. Oh, wow. But those can be some super seriously realistic masks.
Yeah, I'm watching the video now. The article listed as a latex mask, and I just checked another article, and it actually says plastic mask. So it could be that somebody just didn't know the difference.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet you it probably was a silicone, because latex, you're not going to get the facial movements, and it's not going to look quite it's not going to look quite right. No. All right, what else you got for us over there?
So the second thing I had pop up, I was doing, as I was looking for some different articles that were popping up, it's actually an older article, but it was influenced by something recent that happened. So about a month ago, NASA sent their probe Curiosity, the rover Curiosity. It's up there on Mars doing its thing. Mm-hmm. Found some methane. Oh. And brought me back to another article, which I remember, but I thought it'd be pretty good for this show.
You know, methane means alien farts, right?
Well, yeah. So the article, this actually goes back to 2016, but there's a gentleman on YouTube, and I believe his name is Paranormal Crucible. That's what his YouTube handle is. Mm-hmm. He does a lot of, he looks at video that Curiosity's picking up. And he found what he believes to be a Sasquatch skull on Mars, but I'm doubting it's a Sasquatch skull. But if you look at the picture, which I believe Natalie can put up there, it's a unique looking piece of it's a unique looking artifact on the surface there. It kind of definitely stands out among the other browner surface, but. What you think, Ryan?
So Bigfoot is being spotted on the news now, or on Mars.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm buying that, but we've seen it several times. Anybody that's been paying attention to Mars, there's always something odd on the surface that stands out.
I think that, in my opinion, I've seen a lot of photographs of items that come from Mars, and human beings, we naturally, what is it called? Anamorphosize, or I don't even know. You know the word I'm talking about, where you see things. Patterns. Yeah, you see faces in a rock, and you're like, oh, it looks like a face, or in the clouds or whatnot. We naturally do that. It's just part of our instinct. So to start seeing a rock or whatnot. I mean, I looked at the rock, and it's got some interesting erosion patterns, but. Yeah, I really don't think Sasquatch is up there. Tony and I have actually talked about Bigfoot to begin with, and I know that Tony does not believe in Bigfoot.
It's nonsense,
yeah. Whereas I'm actually someone who, there you go, Robert Nasta's got it on there, anthropomorphize.
Yeah.
I don't know, I give up. But I'm a person who believes that large bipedal humanoid type creatures could possibly still exist in remote areas. I mean, I'm not saying that all of them that people talk about, but I'm open-minded to it, whereas Tony shoots it down, and then Tony brings a story about Bigfoot on. So that's what it is. You don't believe Bigfoot's on Earth. You believe Bigfoot's on Mars.
He's on Mars. Pareidolia is the name for when people see. I hope I'm saying it right. I think I'm saying it right. But when people see patterns inside of.
Oh, okay.
See shapes, and they can find patterns that. Like when they
but first, that's not seeing or putting human characteristics to it.
Well, I think that's anthropomorphism is kind of.
See, there you go. Why didn't you jump in and bail me out? You could have jumped in and bailed. He left me struggling with the word. So.
But that's back in the day when they first saw that first face on the moon or on Mars. You remember that?
Yeah, the satellite flyover that showed that, and then when they flew over it again at some point. The way the sun was falling on it revealed it completely different. Yeah. And, of course, all the conspiracy theorists said, oh, no, we shot a missile at it and blew it up to obliterate it so that people on Earth wouldn't find out that there's a culture,
Yeah. So I guess the last thing that kind of popped onto my radar this week is it has to deal with UFOs. Bernie Sanders, running in the 2020 election, said Tuesday, that on the Joe Rogan podcast, that if he is elected, he's going to reveal all of the secret UFO files that the government's currently holding on to. So
he basically just bought my vote.
Well, I mean, if you think that there's something there.
I think it'd be hilarious for a president to actually say, okay, we're going to open up this vault and let all the documents out. And then, of course, they open up the vault, and it turned out to be like Geraldo Rivera opening up Al Capone's safe, and there's not a damn thing inside there. Now, I do actually believe, beyond the shadow of a doubt, in my opinion, that there is, in fact, intelligent alien life out there. I feel fairly confident that it's been to our planet, and I see it as conceivable that governments are aware of them, maybe even working in collusion. So I don't know, it's kind of interesting. What do you think of this invade Area 51 thing?
Oh, real quick, I saw today that they took the Facebook page down.
Did they really?
Yeah, they took it down, and they said it was because the rules of Facebook, what are they?
No
inappropriate things are on there. So they took it down, and then he tried to post a different event page or something, and they took that one down too.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'll try and find that link and post it up.
So apparently there's some concern about it.
Yeah, I tell you, man, I think that if enough people showed up, I think that, I honestly, if 50,000 people were to show up and lock arms elbow to elbow and just started walking, I don't think there's anything they could do. As long as some people are willing to take a bullet and choke on some tear gas and whatnot, you would eventually overrun it. That's going to be a mess.
Yeah, you and I have had that discussion before. I don't think 50,000 people are going to really show up, but
yeah, I don't think that many either.
I think some people still plan on going.
Oh, I think there's going to be I think there's going to be a lot of people that show up, and I think it's going to end up being like a Burning Man 2.0, just a different location. That's what I think it's going to be. It's going to be a lot of pot smoking and a lot of ecstasy and a lot of Molly and a lot of people getting real crazy out in the desert. There are going to be a lot of people in that group who actually do see aliens for sure.
No doubt.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you, Tony, for some interesting stories.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to go ahead and bring the phone number back up, not for a contest, but we're going to go ahead and talk about our next topic, which is going to be haunting, real life haunted houses. The reason I'm doing this as part of my as part of this opening show is because my house is actually haunted. I mentioned earlier that I bought a hearse, and so let me kind of start the whole story kind of from the very beginning. We moved into this house and we lived here for about 2 years, and we had not had a single weird thing at all happen. Now, I have always wanted to own a hearse, and so I ended up coming across one in Southern California that's a 1969 that was really, really cool and stuff, and a fixer-upper project car. So I went down Southern California and I bought this hearse and I brought it home, and I put it in my garage, and I started, cleaning it up a little bit and getting junk out of it and this and that. And all of a sudden, right about that same time, we started actually having some strange things that occurred. So the first thing that occurred was I was taking my kids to school. Now, I had a motorcycle that I had to sell in order to get the money to buy the hearse. So I ended up borrowing my folks' old pickup truck that they weren't using at the time. And I'm getting my kids out the door, and I get them all out the door, and I just closed the front door behind me when I realized that I'd left my coffee sitting on the kitchen table. So I unlock the door, I open it back up, I go in through the living room, into my kitchen, I pick up my coffee mug, and I start walking back out the door. And right as I go to shut the door behind me, I hear footsteps running down the hallway, and anyone who's got kids knows what like a 7-year-old sounds like when they run down a hall, the weight of the footsteps and stuff. That's exactly what it sounded like. Now, I was very used to my kids going out to, Yep, Robert, you're right. 69 SNS. Sorry. I was used to them always forgetting something, running back in to get their earbuds or to get something or other. So as I'm closing the door, I hear these footsteps running behind me. I turn around to give my kids shit, and I said, "What did you forget this time?" Except when I turn around, there was nobody there. And the footsteps were so distinct and so definite. I turned around and I looked out at the truck, and my kids were both standing outside the truck waiting for me to get out there to unlock it. I actually had to do a walkthrough of the house and look around and see, is there actually someone in the house? That is exactly how distinct this thing was. So that was the first experience that we'd had, and it definitely was not the last. Tony, what are your thoughts on ghosts and hauntings and all of that kind of stuff?
So I've never actually seen anything, but I know my grandmother, growing up, I grew up in upstate New York, and we had an old house up there, and my grandmother was very certain that the place was haunted.
Mm-hmm.
So much so that she would bring, I remember several times we've had a priest come in and bless the house and spray the holy water in the rooms and stuff like that. So I've never seen anything, but she was also a pretty, straight-laced woman, so something there scared her enough to bring, an external person in.
What about you, Natalie? Any haunt things or anything?
There's been times that I think I hear something. Actually, in our house the other day, I was sure that my daughter called my name, and I said, "What?" And she's like, "Nothing." We're new in this house, so we're still filling things out. And then I don't know. I believe there's definitely something out there.
So you believe?
I do believe.
Well, I mean, even when we've been at your house before, my partner was, I think, went into your restroom or something like that, and she got stuck in there. She couldn't get out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she came over. I remember her coming out and saying, "Is there your door always sticking there?" She goes, "I kept pushing on it, and I couldn't get out, and then finally it just opened up." And I remember you at the time saying, "No, I've never had a problem with it before."
Not that, no.
So,
but it is funny because I'll tell you what, right around that bathroom is right off the hallway, right about where I heard the footsteps. That seems to be kind of an epicenter in the house. So one night, my wife and I were in our theater room. We're watching a movie. I had gotten up to go make some microwave popcorn in the kitchen, which is on the far side of the house. Our oldest was in his bedroom in the back of the house doing something or other, teenagers, and our youngest had just gotten in the bathtub and was filling up the bathtub. So typical, Friday night or whatever. I'm in the kitchen, had just thrown the microwave popcorn in there and set the timer and everything and whatnot, when all of a sudden I heard this blood-curdling scream that, to me, sounded like it came from the bathroom. Now, the scream I heard sounded kind of like the scream that a young kid would make if they suddenly were faced with a spider, and that's what I figured it was, because I know Sydney just at that age, So I called out from the kitchen to my wife. I said, "Hon, you need to go check on Sid, because I'm not going in there." She replies, "I know, I'm on my way." She had heard it too and was already getting up and heading towards the bathroom. Right as she got to the bathroom door, my oldest pops open his door, sticks his head out and says, "What's going on? What was that scream?" And my wife says, "Nothing, I got it taken care of." Well, Sam opens the bathroom door, and Sydney's in the tub, and Sydney is shocked, and she's like, "What?" And Sam looks at her and goes, "What was that scream?" Sydney didn't even hear it and said she didn't do it. Oh, wow. All three of us on opposite sides of the house in a triangle all heard it come from right there. So that was pretty crazy. But crazy. Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's move on, and let's go ahead and get loaded up with our guest. I guess you want to call him a celebrity. I consider him a celebrity because in the haunt industry there are a certain number of figures, certain number of people that everyone kind of knows. and everyone knows this guy. So let's go ahead and roll the interview.
Yay!
All right, boys and girls, we have a very special guest with us tonight. If you are at all in love with Halloween, there's no way you haven't heard of this guy unless you're living under a rock. It gives me great honor to introduce the undisputed heavyweight king of the Halloween how-to, Mr. Alan Hops, straight from Stiltbeast Studios. Alan, thank you for joining us. It is an honor to have you here, sir. How are you doing today?
I am wonderful. That is one heck of an intro and a lot to live up to. But here I am. I'm ready.
Well, believe me, man, if I had $1 for everything I've learned from watching your videos, I'd have a lot of dollars in my pocket. So you've definitely helped me along the way, and it's great to have someone out there that does everything that you do. So that being said, and I know Halloween is only a couple months away and you're probably as busy as everyone else, let's just kind of get into this. Start off with, tell me, how exactly did you ultimately end up getting involved in Halloween? What's your backstory?
When I was 10 years old, there was a haunted house near my grandmother's house. I had always loved monsters and dinosaurs and just, and I had always been a fan. Wolfman was my favorite even then. And so I went down there and they were able to let me work for them. And then, I did a haunted house every year. I haven't missed one yet. I haven't taken a season off. That sounds ridiculous to me. Why would I do that? It's terrible. So right about the time, it was 1993, I went to a horror convention in New Jersey. I lived in Maryland at the time. And at this horror convention, there was a Fright Times magazine, which was the magazine of the haunted house industry. I didn't know it was the first one, I didn't know that it was the first issue, and but on the cover it was Terror on Church Street, which was a year-round haunted house in Orlando, Florida. So from reading about that, I planned a trip. So right after my junior year of high school, I drove to Orlando from Maryland.
Wow.
And me and a friend, I went and I applied. I said, got to get through next year's of school, but then I'll come right back and work. So that got me started in full-time haunting.
All right. Excellent. All right. Now that being said, you have over 30,000 subscribers on your channel and you've got hundreds of videos. What exactly was it that made you decide to start doing the videos and start kind of showing all of the, the how-tos and stuff? What was your motivation there?
I was very lucky because I kind of grew up at the same time the internet grew up, It was, I very much remember, and it was Chiller Theater Horror Convention in New Jersey that I went to and found that magazine. But when I went there in 92, it was, here's our catalog. And it's these papers stapled together, and they're the white copied catalogs.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 93 and 94, it's, no, here's our address on the World Wide Web. Uh-huh. We don't print catalogs anymore.
Uh-huh.
So, as a young, you just had access to all this stuff, but there still wasn't a lot of how-to.
Mm.
So in 95, there was a couple lists. The one was the Howl Halloween list, and it's just text. It's just text, and it was all through emails. And those aren't around anymore, really. But I would answer questions because I was lucky enough where I got to do this for a living. And if I was able to help somebody, great.
Very cool. Very cool. I when I first started doing this about 7 years ago, I went to the Devil's Workshop website, and they had an excellent write-up with a lot of details about, step by step all the way through it. And I actually downloaded their entire website onto my hard drive, and I'm so glad I did because a couple of years later they changed up their website and all of that information no longer existed, and I've actually moved that from one computer to another, and I still have it on my hard drive where I can actually pull that up. So yeah, you're right. There was a time when trying to get this information was really, really tough. So
my YouTube channel, I think, maybe I think I've been doing it for 9 or 10 years, you know, so it was a ways back. And I just wanted to make a library of how-to videos for haunted houses.
Yeah. And you've absolutely succeeded, because I'll tell you, man, I don't think there's a single subject you haven't covered. I've seen you do everything. I mean, it's funny because I watch people that do videos on, you know, mask making, or I watch people that do videos on makeup or whatnot. But man, you literally have got your fingers in every single pot and all of that. So
that's the haunted house person's mindset. If you want to be a good haunted house person, you have to be a carpenter, you have to be a good painter, you have to be a good plumber, you have to be a good electrician. You have to have all of these different trades and arts, you know, that you know in order to make this fully fledged, you know, you're creating something from the ground up.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of skill involved.
Absolutely. Used to be a set designer myself for a theater company. That's where I learned a lot of my stuff, and I brought a lot of that over to doing this. So of all the things that you do that are all haunt related, if you had to wipe all of them off the plate and you could only focus on one, what would be the favorite number one thing you enjoy doing the most?
You sent me the questions ahead of time, which was very nice. And I thought that I was going to answer mask making.
Okay.
Because I think the perfect activity should have two aspects. Part of it that you can do alone, and part of it that you have to do with the group. It doesn't matter what that hobby is. You know, mask making, you can sculpt alone, you can work alone. But then, you know, if you want to sell your mask, you should probably go to a trade show. You should probably, you know, go somewhere where other people can get together. And I thought I was going to say mask making. But last night, Dark Hour Haunted House, the one I'm director of, was open. And I normally will forego a lot of my director duties on the other people and suit up and go play.
Okay.
And last night, I threw on my Wolfman costume, and I'm just stalking through the haunted house, and it's very cool to have a monster in my head and be able to sculpt it and make it and then see it walking around. That's great. But I think it's more fun to be it. I think it's more fun to act. Throwing on a new monster suit and discovering it. How does it move? You know, when I move this way, you know, how can I walk in the best way to have the best silhouette? You know, because that's a lot of the things that I'm thinking of and I'm working on while I'm acting. It's I think in a haunted house it's a character introduction thousands of times a night.
Yeah.
Because they only see you for about 6 seconds. That's the first time they ever see you, and you know, you have complete control of it, really, which is great. So it's probably acting. I was a Wolfman last night, and it's real hard to find anything more fun than that.
Yeah. You know, I'm going to admit, the werewolf has always been my favorite monster also. And I don't know why. There's just something about the werewolf that I think is, I love werewolves. That's one of my future masks I will be doing, is I want to do my take on werewolf. So years ago, we did our own backyard haunts, and I got a store-bought werewolf mask. It was a pretty decent looking one, but then I built a whole suit around it, and it is fun to put that on and become the werewolf. So I can agree with you right there.
There's a theory that I'm kind of fond of, where there's really only two monsters, and that's Frankenstein and the Wolfman. They are monsters that man has made, Frankenstein. Even like Godzilla, we made Godzilla by, you know, with radiation.
Yeah.
You know, those two vastly different characters, they're both man-made. But then the Wolfman is the evil inside of us.
Yes.
And I think part of that appeal to me of the Wolfman is any person can become a werewolf and get stronger, faster, you know, better, bigger, scarier, whatever. You know?
Now you're involved in, I mean, you're, like you said it earlier, you're one of the blessed, lucky people who actually gets to live this dream full time, and this is what you do. So give us a little glimpse of just an average typical day for you. What is your day like? What is your home like, your family life? All, you know, just real quick, just kind of what's it like?
I work a lot. Now all of the work I do is work that I love. You know, I love it. But I'm working a lot. So my typical day, you're looking at 12 to 14 hours where I'm working somewhere.
Wow.
I get up pretty early, about 5:30 or so in the morning, and then me and the wife do some yoga. She heads off to work.
Huh?
I don't have to be at work until 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So then I go into my shop, and I put a couple hours in my shop in the morning before I get ready and go into work. And then I'll go into work and do whatever dark hour needs me to do for that 8-hour chunk. And then I will drive back. I live about an hour away. So I have an hour drive to and an hour drive from. During that time, I listen to podcasts or audiobooks. Normally, I'm trying to learn something while I'm driving. I don't want to waste that time.
Absolutely.
And then, I made puppets last week for dark hour. I had to do some Photoshop stuff and lay out things for upcoming haunt season, so my day at dark hour could be almost anything. And then I get to the shop and I'm filling, when I get home, I kiss the wife and I go right into the shop and I work on orders that I got through MHC or just people who Facebook messaged me or whatever to make the monsters that other people need.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but I know that it's a labor of love when it's something that you love doing. It doesn't feel like work. So
no, it's when I'm at dark hour, it's like, man, I can't wait to get to my shop and work on this new mask. And then sometimes when I'm in the shop working, I'm like, man, I can't wait to get to dark hour and see how that set finishes out. So there's a lot of, I'm doing this cool thing, but I can't wait to do that next cool thing.
Mm-hmm. Now, a lot of our viewers are going to be kind of new to the Halloween arts. I know that we're going to have some people that are looking at getting into mask making. We're going to have some people that are, just experimenting with some makeup. And I'm sure we're going to get some people who are just generally, maybe they're thinking about doing a yard haunt or maybe trying to get in touch with a haunted house to maybe become an actor or help out with building or whatnot. If you were to come up to someone on the street and just met them and they said, I really love Halloween, I'd like to be more into it, what kind of advice would you give them as far as any of that type of stuff?
The super simplest advice that I would give is immerse yourself in the industry of selling things to Halloween people in haunted houses. Look at everything on Haunters Hangout. Look at everything on the Haunt World. Their forums are still fairly active. Go to every trade show you possibly can. Trans World and MHC, of course, being probably the two biggest for sure. But go to every haunted house and Halloween trade show you can and look at the industry as a whole. It is the downfall in any profession to just be focused right here on what's happening in front of you, because how much are you missing? So if you can back up and look at our industry from 10,000 feet or 100,000 feet, and then look for holes. What am I not seeing? What isn't there? Because that's what you should make. That is what you should create and give to the industry. That's what they need. When the worst thing, we're kind of in a little bit of a cycle right now where we are unfortunately giving customers what they want.
Okay.
That is unfortunate because if we're giving them what they want, then we're not giving them anything new. Because it is very rare that someone will say, you know what, I really need this, fingernail golem. That's what I want in this room of the haunted house. It's not how they think. They think we need a cool monster for this. Let's go and look and see what's out there and put it in there.
Mm-hmm.
We have the imperative of creating new things. And there is this design line that people are comfortable with. Everything that we're making right now is here. And we have to drag them a little further, to get new monsters. The world needs more monsters.
Yeah.
It just does.
Yeah.
And we have to, look at how frustrated people are with how many remakes that they're doing in Hollywood right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Remakes and sequels. But how many clown masks do you see? How many of the same thing are you seeing? How many versions of Michael Myers are there? God, it hurt.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but this one has blue lips. I don't care.
Yeah.
No one cares. There are people who care.
Yeah.
And I that's interesting to me. But it's our job to look at the industry as a whole, find what isn't there. What is no one selling that haunted houses need? They don't know they need it yet, but you have to present it to them, and then they'll see a need.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. That's actually really, you're talking there, and I'm already in my mind starting to formulate ideas for my very next mask. I've reached a point where almost all the clay I own is currently on some kind of a sculpt somewhere, but I've got a brand new Ed head that just came not too long ago, and I'm like, I need to get this thing molded, and I'm definitely going to spend some time looking at what's out there. And you're right, we need some new original monsters. I'm going to see if I can't come up with something a little bit different that maybe hasn't been done to death. So, awesome. Listen, it has really been great having you on this show. It's really cool. And for you viewers who are watching this, you're going to want to go to YouTube and you're going to want to look up Stiltbeast Studios. You will have weeks worth of video that you can spend watching all the time. A lot of times when I'm sculpting, I like to just pop something on the computer and just have it kind of playing on the screen there. It's very inspirational, and Alan is a lot of fun. And again, Alan, thank you very much for taking the time to be here and to join us. I would really love to have you on, periodically every now and then when new stuff and exciting stuff is going on. So
I'd be happy to. Just let me know.
Absolutely. Again, thank you. It's an honor. And all right, let's get back to our regular show. All right, so that was my interview with Alan Hops. If anybody happens to watch this and you don't know who Alan Hops is, definitely check him out on Stiltbeast Studios on YouTube. He does absolutely everything from mask making to prop building to, if there's something that is Halloween related that you want to figure out how to do it, he is the number one go-to source, and he's got hundreds of videos. He is one of the things that I put on my YouTube as a playlist when I'm out here working on my stuff. So just to have that in the background and I hear that kind of thing going on, it gets my creative juices flowing. Even if he's not working on masks, he could be working on anything. Mm-hmm. It's just what he's doing and stuff. I almost feel like I'm there. So I definitely appreciate him doing that. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. Natalie has a prior commitment that she's got to go to. There is no way that we're going to be able to get rid of the rest of these masks, but we're going to do at least one more, and we will do the other two masks next week when we come back next Saturday, same time at 8 p.m. Let's see, Tony, if you would do the honors, please, of choosing an envelope.
Yes, sir.
All right, and then those two will stay, and let me know what number.
All right, let me do this.
This one is actually going to be a drawing from my friends list.
All right, we got lucky number 2 here.
Number 2. All right. This one, I know which one this is because I had to stack them on a couple of little plastic containers. This is Worm Food, number 4 from the Master Mold, and he was titled Deadite. I actually painted this guy when I was watching the Ash versus the Evil Dead series, and I liked the eyes, so I tried to kind of replicate a Deadite's eye. This guy, I like him a lot too. So, all right, mask number 2, Worm Food Deadite is going to be going to, this time we are going off, we're going off, I'm going to do the drawing this time. This is my Facebook friends list here. Someone inside here, we're going to dig deep. Make sure I'm only getting one. All right. This one is going to go to Ryan Patrick Strickler. Ryan Patrick Strickler. All right. Now, you have until tomorrow evening at 8 p.m. Pacific time to reach out to me via Facebook Messenger on my personal profile, not the Uncle Monster one. So, unfortunately, like I said, we don't have enough time because Natalie's got to go and I can't do all this on my own. So what we're going to do is Masks number 3 and one more Wasteland, which has yet to be unveiled. I've been keeping that one secret. You guys will get to see that next week, Saturday, 8 p.m. So thank you all for watching the show. We really hope you enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit rough. This was our first kind of go around. It's kind of a practice thing. It will get better, I promise. But if you do enjoy it, if there's content that you would like to see, stuff like that, make sure you put it in the comments and let us know. If there's any mask celebrities or whatnot you'd love to see interviewed, let me know. I'll reach out to them and see if I can get them on the show. Also, if you are a mask artist or a makeup artist and you'd like to be profiled as our Artist of the Week, also reach out to me because we're always looking for more stuff. Now, next week's episode, we've got some other topics that we're going to talk about, and we also have another Artist of the Week, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. Next week's Artist of the Week is going to come on the show. It's going to give the show a little bite. So, last things, I guess, to be said here is if you like the show, be sure to click on the little subscribe button down here. Make sure you click on the bell if you're watching this on YouTube so you get notified when new uploads come. Once these kind of get going, I'm going to have a little bit more time to make tutorials. And I'll actually be showing how I make these things. And I'm going to go step by step into it, show you my techniques. I also want to get other artists to come on this show and show their techniques because we all do things a little bit different. Also, if you go to my website, unclemonstersplace.com, there's a store there where you can actually buy the items that I actually use. I'm an Amazon affiliate, so if you make purchases there, you'll be supporting the show and stuff like that. And figure if you needed to buy some monster clay and you were going to go to Amazon anyways and buy it, it's the same price if you buy it on my store. The difference is that I get paid a little bit of a commission to kind of keep this thing going. But that's all that we've got there. So be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, all of that kind of fun stuff. I want to thank my co-hosts in the studio, Natalie. Thank you very much for doing a great job on the computer there. Tony, thank you very much. When we have a little bit slower of a show, this is going to get a lot of fun because Tony and I have a lot of different opinions on things. And I think Natalie is going to end up being that kind of person that kind of keeps us afloat. So when we talk about some of these things. So in any case, again, thank you all for joining. We certainly hope that you enjoyed this. And we will see you guys next week. Until then, stay scary, my friends. You're still here? The show's over. Go create something. Go on.